So today what we're gonna do is slightly different. We're gonna do something I've never done before on the channel. I'm gonna do a project and let's get into it. My idea is to put a QR code on a pumpkin. I think this is a brilliant idea because it is original. I don't think I've ever seen that done, as well as it catches people off guard. Probably because it's original and it's never been done, but also there is a lot of skill involved and people will not quite know how they would approach this. So how do I put a QR code on a pumpkin? Well, I've got my own strategy, which I'll show you in detail a bit later, but to be able to execute the strategy, first of all, I need to generate a QR code. I chose to put into the QR code the link to my YouTube channel with the subscribe flag activated. So that means if people scan it, they will automatically subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, let's go back to it, but please do subscribe. Okay, let's get back to the project. Okay, so I find the QR code, I select the QR code, I print this QR code. Then I also wanted to people that don't know what a QR code is to give them a little hint. Basically, I write on the back of the pumpkin, scan me, so that people know what to do, but really if they don't know what a QR code is, they don't really know what to do anyway. I want to put scan me on the pumpkin, so let's do that. So now the actual process of taking the pumpkin and putting the QR code and everything on it took about 2.5 hours, almost exactly. And I don't want to let you sit through that, but I will also upload the 2.5 hours straight as a video if you're interested and want to torture yourself watching me in detail how to carve it. Feel free, the link's in the description. But what I'll do is I'll speed all this up, but I'll keep a real-time timer so you can follow along and see how long each step kind of took. This channel's first build montage. So the first step in carving a pumpkin is pretty obviously taking off a lid, cutting out a lid. And that's pretty easily done. The mistake I see usually made is that people cut an almost perfect circle. What I do is deliberately cut jagged edges in the shape of the lid as to make it easier later to put the lid on the correct way again and have a smooth surface fitting at the top. Once the lid is off, you gotta scoop it all out, get all of the gunk out. And people like to cook with the gunk. I personally do not, but that's just preference. It is quite nice to make food with it if it's done properly. But most important is don't have it in the pumpkin anymore. I usually, here you can see me use an ice scooper, but a big spoon works best. I try to get everything out until there's nothing soft inside anymore and all the walls are hard. And I'd like to take off even the first layer inside, the first hard layer inside, that allows me to really get a really clean pumpkin on the inside that is not mushy or that won't turn smelly either going forward. So once the pumpkin is empty, I use some tape and I stick on my designs that I want to cut out. And once the designs are on, it just taking a knife and following the contours of the lines. When sticking on, make sure that if the curvature is very strong on the pumpkin, it might distort the image, and so making sure that the image fits on nicely is important, otherwise it'll be hard to carve. But then it's just carving away. You can see first I carve the contours, and once the contours are done, I start taking off the skin piece by piece to have light shining through the pumpkin. So we're just over half an hour in, and now the real difficulty starts, the QR code. Process is essentially the same. Stick on the QR code and carve away. During the carving process, I had to be a bit more careful with what I cut out, because all these tiny squares, they're connected to each other. And if I start in the middle, then I can cut them out. But if I start on the outside, then the middle pieces will just fall out and they won't be related or referenced to the rest. So I needed to cut from one side across to the other while the paper is falling apart to allow it to work. Let's see how I got on. Also really important to point out that I needed to make sure I cut a full circle around it, because I wanted the white parts on the paper to be bright, meaning light let through on the pumpkin, and the black parts on the paper to be covered. Yeah, we're an hour and a half in, and at this point my back was hurting quite a bit, but I was getting so close I didn't want to stop, so I stuck through, and you're gonna see what the carving part will look like in just a second. At this part, I thought hardest part is done. Now I just need to take the pieces off. That was gonna take me another 50 minutes. I did not expect. I also want to point out that the knife skills are not very well done. This was a very dull knife for the purpose of making sure I don't cut myself. Please do not try this yourself if you do not have experience using knives. A final touch that will really make it look a lot more like a QR code, in my opinion, was painting it black. And I feel like it gave it a nice touch that made it a lot more recognizable as a QR code on a pumpkin. That was done, the final test. Was my phone able to read the QR code? Unfortunately, the answer was no. But I had loads of fun making it, so never let the fear of not succeeding stop you from trying something and having fun in the process. I did a few tidy ups on the markings, as well as carving out the inside more and more until I got the right amount of light through. The thinner the walls are, the brighter the pumpkin will be. And so I carved quite a bit more out just to make sure that I'm getting through a nice bright contrast between the black and the white, even at night. And after the pumpkin was finished, I had the very, very important step of cleaning up after myself, making sure my workstation is left the way I found it.
So to tie up all the loose ends, I do like pumpkin carving, I like a competition, but I like spending time with my family more than all of those things. And I like pumpkin carving with my children. And my children are very, very good. They're much more artistic than I am. I am not very artistic, meaning artistic. I am autistic, but not artistic. And so that's why I resort to some out-of-the-box, weird, wacky ideas like putting a QR code on a pumpkin. But my children are very artistic and I love the pumpkins that they created. And they gave me permission to put their pumpkins on the internet in this video and show them, and you can see them here. Both of them are absolutely great. I love the use of art style. The erased eyebrow really gives this pumpkin character, and the use of toothpicks in that one really makes it grimacing and scary. So those are really, really great pumpkins, better than mine, to be honest. I think they've done an absolute great job, and I didn't want to put this video in there without mentioning them. So that's really where I want to leave it today. So thank you very much. If you've enjoyed this, then please like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you liked about it. If you want to see more builds, maybe I can build things like this in the future again. And with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.